Good evening, everyone. I am here at the Pape Meditation Retreat, and today I wanted to talk about the topic of burnout and specifically just the mental exhaustion. Many people out there are feeling overwhelmed. They are stressed with all the things that they have going on. And for me, I wanted to share the wisdom from the monastery that may be helpful for your lives. And regarding this topic, there are many ways that we can look at this issue. But for me specifically, I wanted to isolate and look at an angle that I feel is not currently addressed. This is a big topic regarding burnout in the mental health, in the psychology realm, but this specific part for me is I wanted to look at the difference between working and also resting. But when it comes to working and then when it comes to resting, these are two different functions, and many people just intertwine these two. There is no stop time, and they're just in their heads most of the time or working a lot. And we have to understand that these two serve its own purpose, has its own function, and hopefully we can separate them and try to compartmentalize them a little bit more. A question that I would ask those who are watching out there is, how many of you can relate to the fact where you're at home on the couch, you may be with your family and your young children, but mentally, where is your mind? Where is your attention? Is it still at work, thinking about the project, thinking about the next meeting and the activity that you have to do, the goals that you are setting? Maybe you're a student and again, you're worried about the classwork. You're worried about the tests. You're worried about the homework and the assignment coming due. So you can see how when you are in this mental state, this state of worry and anxiety and fear, and it is prolonged for a duration of time that is continuous, of course you would feel overwhelmed. And then you add more things on top of that, and the issue gets even bigger and it puts more pressure on yourself. Also, why this can be an issue is just looking at our culture. Coming from Western lens, and it's focused on capitalism, what is the thing that we hear most often is regarding productivity, the hustle culture, 24 hours. If you're sleeping and then you're not productive, you're wasting your time, people are gonna pass you by. And yes, there is some benefits to that, but at the same time, there's also a negative side or a consequence of that also. So I would just say, be careful. So then now let's go into the history. How did we get to this point? And a key factor that I would focus on is really when you look at our society and you look at our culture before, how did we do work? And many of the things was through manual labor. We worked with our hands. Everything out there was production based. Then when we do activities is we're actually building things, we're actually constructing things, and again, each day just using physical labor and just having that physical release. But now that the culture has changed, the economy and the way of life has changed, now more people are not working with their hands. Now we're becoming more smarter. We're using different types of skill sets. And I'm just thinking about the therapists that I used to train, where we don't work so much with our hands, but when we're working with our clients, we're helping them with their issues. we're trying to find solutions to help them improve their lives, many of the time we're in our heads, just thinking, using our intellect. I'm thinking about the teachers out there who are worried about their students, planning their lesson plans, to prepare for the exams, to grade their paper, to worry about the condition of their school. So this goes on. The architect and the designer who is planning the blueprints. And again, we're getting into that phase where people are using more of the intellect, and we're operating differently than we did before. Why this is key, and it can be a component of burnout and exhaustion, is because think of how much time that you're thinking. When you're at work, you're thinking and you're processing. When you're on your break, you're thinking and you're processing. When the day's almost over, you're thinking and processing. And when you come home, even before you sleep, many people are still engaged and activated, and they never again have that time to rest. So put everything away and now recharge. So when you don't have an opportunity to recharge, just like everything else, your phone, your car, anything that needs energy, then when it's depleted, then there's no more. So we always need to activate this cycle of recharging our batteries, and you need that as well. So in this video, I want to share 2 examples that may be helpful for you. So let's take a look. So for those who have been following along with the monk life, you see how we live in the monastery and how we train ourselves. The thing that we do on a daily basis is rapbun, the daily chores. We do an individual chore, and then we also do a group chore. Many of these things are concerning physical activity. You've seen us do it all, from building of a meditation hall by the river. We're building a maze with our bare hand that took us about 2 months, and we're carrying heavy stones. We're building the bathrooms. We're sweeping. We're constructing different things, but each and every single day we have an opportunity to get our hands dirty. Some of the benefits for this is really because it keeps us grounded. It also gives us an opportunity to get outside of our heads. Like I said, many people are always thinking, and thinking is not an issue. But when you cannot get out of the thinking, it overwhelms you, it runs you over like a tsunami and takes over you, then of course that may become an issue. So when we're doing these kind of things, when we are touching the ground with our feet, our hands are actually touching an object, then it brings us back to the present moment. Whatever issues that you are having at that time, and we get many new monks who come in and they struggle with their lives back at home. We get the retreat participants with the same thing, and they also have concerns that they had before they came here, and it can be overwhelming. So by doing the work, by getting their hands dirty and getting physical, then their mind slows down. It releases the stress, so it has an outlet. It's a productive channel, like I said, where we release the energy, but in a positive, healthy way. It gives us an opportunity to sweat. It brings us back into the present moment, and it's strange because then we start to feel still. By doing the activity, by being out in nature, everything around us, for some reason, just feels like it stops. And then we begin to slow down and it's just helpful overall for our mood, for our mental health, and most importantly, again, it's an opportunity to get out of thinking and let your mind, let your thoughts rest. This is one of the benefits. What is so interesting, and it's strange, I didn't think this was a thing, but surprisingly, I get many people make the comment that you're in a forest. Why are you sweeping? And we see the monks and the participants sweeping leaves, and we have a old school broom, and it's not even the advanced one, and it's slow. And people would comment of one, why are you sweeping? And two, why don't you just get a leaf blower? It's faster. And for our response really is, of course, we can do things faster. But what is the point? And in the monastery, we try to do things with intention. And the intention is we use every activity to do what? To train the mind, to train oneself, to slow yourself down, get you out of your head, and then you will make room, and you will make space to be in this present moment. Just a few minutes ago for me, I just got done doing our last Rapbun, or our daily chore. And the activity that we did was we took down the stupa, or the jetiya. And it was starting to fall apart because of the weather here in the forest, but we had to remove the bricks. It took us a few hours. We were out in the sun and we were sweating and getting dirty. And it was a difficult activity, but again, it was just refreshing. Then it's time to turn off. The sun is already setting. It's time to grab a drink, to have a shower, and again, slow your mind down. And it's difficult to just turn off immediately, so then it has to be gradual. So for us is then we use this routine, this exercise. Again, when it's time to shower, then it should signal that it's time for us to turn off. Then after that, we go into our chanting and our meditation. Then as a group, we will close our eyes. When we are still, we spread loving kindness to the world, and then we're done for the day. And the rest of the time, we're here to sleep. And many people would judge us because it looks like the monks, what do they do? They're not so smart. They're not doing things properly, and it's not effective, and looking at how we live our life and how we do our chores. But for me is people can have any kind of analysis of our life, and that's fine. But one thing I do know is by working outside in nature, living in the forest, getting my hands dirty every single day, and I'm tired and I'm doing good, and then I shut down. By the time it's bedtime and I go to bed, I rest my head down on my pillow, and you better believe I have a good night's sleep. At that moment, I am knocked out. And when it's time to rest, I rest. And at least I can have a peace of mind. In that moment, I'm not so worried about what happened in the past. I'm not worried about what happened in the future. But now it's time to rest. So I rest. And then tomorrow, when it's time to wake up and do it again, we do it again. And again, these two things. When it's time to work, you work. When it's time to rest, you rest. So do things with intention. The second example that we can look at is the construction team here at the Papaya Meditation Retreat. The head person, his name is Pigump. And he is one of the villagers here. He comes out every morning and does the alms round with the monks. And then afterwards, having breakfast, him and his team will come here and they will help us with construction. They are absolutely amazing, and I've never seen someone so skilled, especially skillful in the forest. They have done anything and everything. We've seen them do the construction of the meditation hall. They can build a new toilet, which they're doing now, with a hut and a kuti on top. They built a whole training site for our new monks. They build meditation areas where people can sit by themselves. They know how to pave roads. They built a coffee area where the retreat participants can sit. But anything regarding bamboo, concrete, dirt, sand, whatever you would like, this team is just fabulous. And on top of that, they're just so kind. They come in with just a positive attitude and they work physically with their hands. They're lifting heavy things, and I've never seen them complain. They're always so helpful to us. They're also so encouraging, and they teach us how to build, and we're learning the different techniques. They even know how to get rid of insects in the kuti, how to get rid of the ants around, the spiders, the lizards, and how to do this in a natural way that does not harm the animals. And it is just so wonderful to watch. But I use them as an example because their life seems so simple. They come to work, they use their hands, they lift things like the monks, they sweat, and they use physical labor. And then when it's time for them to go home, then it's time to turn off. And they shut down, they go home, and they fully rest. And then the following day, then they do it all over again. But when you talk to them, they're not burnt out. They're not mentally exhausted. And I just share it because I think while they may not seem for the West that we can use them as a model, for me, when I look at them and when you actually examine how they live their life, there's something that we can take. And the people here just seem so happy. They're content, they feel light, and they just go with the flow, and it's just so natural. But I'm hoping that those who are watching can use this as another model for your life. Again, when it comes to work, you work, and then when it comes to rest, turn it off. And they're just wonderful examples. So then with all this information, what do you do with it? And for me, I would say, well, use it then to examine your life, to look at how stressed are you in your specific day, in a 24-hour period, in a week period. What is percentage of you actually doing physical work? How much of the time do you spend thinking and in your mind? How much time do you actually rest? And then when you are resting, then can you actually shut off? Can you actually put a hold on all the thoughts that are coming through and fully let your body, let your mind completely rest? So these are some of the things for me, I would say, to just take time to contemplate and reflect. So then, what is the solution? Well, there are many solutions. You know, I can give you alternatives such as meditation. We know that meditation can help you to clear the dirt, the debris in your mind, and just like a cup of water, allow everything, the emotions, the experiences to settle down so you can start to see more clearly. Then you can even create a schedule for yourself. I did another teaching where we talked about when you create a structure, like for the Buddhist monks, then at 5 o'clock, it's time to shower. We do this on a daily basis. At 6:30, it's time to go for chanting and meditation, but our specific structure then keeps us in line, and this is the gutter guards. There are other things such as going out in nature, slowing down, making time to rest and turn off your phone, but many different things that you can explore on your own. But what would be most helpful for you that I would want to add is that you have to look at your life and you need to assess it, because each person's situation is completely different. From where do you live, the kind of job that you are engaged in, do you have children, what is the culture that you're from, and also what is your nature. Some people can work a lot and it doesn't interfere with how much they're thinking, but for me, I would say find your middle way. Explore this theory, explore this concept, and hopefully you can assess your own life and see what works for you and what do you need to tweak. And then secondly, how do you need to tweak it? But firstly, it's just understand that one of the biggest contributing factor to this burnout, this mental exhaustion, is really because people cannot separate between working and then resting. So when you're in this cycle and you're nonstop, then you will come to a crash. You can keep pushing yourself, but we know how that ends out. And just like anything else, you can say what you want to say, but your body will tell you. It will come out through burnout. It will come out through sickness. It will come out through a disease or an illness. But all of these things are your body's check engine light trying to get your attention. So hopefully this was helpful, this information and this wisdom from the monastery. So with that, I just want to wish everyone to be safe, to be healthy, keep practicing yourself and taking care of yourself. So as always, all the way from Thailand, I hope you are all safe. Satu.